Okay, the question that you were dealing with, do we have people on the streaming now also? Okay, warm welcome to all of you. Remember that you can tweet your suggestions and reactions in to us, and we're very happy to hear from you, even if you're not in the room. The morning we had a question on how to build the network, what kind of collaboration we should be thinking about, and how we ensure that members get out what they want from it. And you can either give concrete suggestions on what you want out of it, or how to do it, or general process suggestions. Everything is welcome. So then I think I'll begin with the rapporteur from the table that was ready first, which is table, can't see your number, but anyway, you know who you are. H. Okay.
Should I use this one?
Yes. And we were too many green labels at our table, but this also shows that the academia can work fast. So, and yeah, it was a very interesting discussion, and I will just highlight some of the examples. I can introduce myself also. My name is Maria Öhlund, and I'm the project coordinator of Focali, based at Gothenburg University. So we have collaborated with SIANI for a long time, but now we are collaborating closer with one of the themes. But from our group, I will start with the most innovative, the one that got most blue dots. And it was that SIANI could be a more active matchmaker within the network. If SIANI knows its network well, then it can help to link people and actors together and have an opportunity to see gaps that individual members perhaps can't see, to create these new connections. And one of the best ideas concerned the Swedish resource base. There were many voices in our group that there should be more activities outside Stockholm. And also, this would be a way to involve and engage new members. And it could be done through expert groups, themes, but also other local initiatives. And another one of the top best ideas was that this all depends on how we see the mandate, what the prerequisites are, what the donors are seeking with this work, and which processes SIANI and members can feed into. So it would be good to have a very clear vision from SIDA and the government. And the final one relates to increased collaboration and interaction with actors from different parts of the global south, from different sectors. So increase the closeness to grassroots and to learn from them and bring this to other dialogues. And if we want to have an impact on the ground, we have to improve this closeness.
Very good. I think we'll take all the reporting first and then open up for discussion. That seems to be a little more fair. Matthew, you're shaking your head. It's okay. All right. Good. Your group. Who's your rapporteur? Okay? Petra.
Good. Yes, it was interesting for us because we have Matthew in our group, and many times when we come with ideas, he could say, but that we are already doing. So that is also one reflection on how to get more into the attention of the network members. Well, if we start then from the red dots, we had a specific attention on the membership issue. But first of all, show how are the members more clearly for one another, so we know how we can interact with. Maintain a balance between breadth and depth. Define what food security is in a SIANI context. Invite guest keynote speakers to events, and keynote speakers then also from the south. For example, here today, have someone that is from a developing context of food security. Improve access to members' profile and make members update annually. And this is, of course, something SIANI is doing, but maybe there is a way of having us to do it better. Another aspect was the timing of events, that many times so many things is popping up at the end of the term, like December and June, and then it happens to be difficult to participate in. That is not only for SIANI, but for all networks. If we go over to the blue dots, well, we come to discuss this with the membership fees that were one of the questions, but it was stressed then that if SIANI takes a fee, it might be that you are losing the marginal members, those who have not a really active interest but is part of the network because they, well, are a bit curious and so on. When people are collaborating, of course, it depends on common interests. And SIANI could help to filter relevant information to members. So we are not captured in the tsunami of information we have around. SIANI can also in the same way contribute to sharing of reports, calendar of events among members then facilitate to get easy access to much information in one time. Then we can also think about having some people, like more passive members, looking at information from others, like you can do in Facebook, and other more actively making inputs that also feel that they then have a fora for sharing their information. It was very common that we looked at the web page and how this kind of interaction is doing by internet media, can we also say.
Okay, I forgot to ask you to introduce yourself.
Okay, sorry.
At the end.
I am Pernilla Malmer. I'm working at the Stockholm Resilience Center, a program called the Resilience and Development Program that also is supported by SIDA Global Program. And we are describe ourselves as an interface between practice, knowledge and science. And we are working on biodiversity, ecosystem services and resilience and livelihood in a poverty alleviation perspective, in short.
Thank you very much. We have to move on here to the next. Okay, turn this on. We need to move on to the next group. Fredrik, are you okay? Sorry. There's yours. Introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. This is group number 2 I will represent, and I am the coordinator for Theme 1 at SIANI. We divided our suggestions into 3 different categories. That was actors, activities, and communication. Looking into actors, we discussed the issue of being stronger on the international arena, reaching the international organizations, and not being afraid of reaching actors outside the network, the current network. And of course, the civil society is of great importance. And one actor that was mentioned was the school children, actually. That's the future, our children, of course. And then looking into activities, we talked about SIANI being a change agent in the global discussion on food security. And one way of doing this could be as working as a network among networks. Connect all these different networks that are out there. And then finally, the communication issue. It was highlighted that quality assurance is, of course, of great importance. And then we mentioned positioning, branding, identity as the keywords to work and follow. And then going into finally some small points that was discussed. We talked about being active at fairs, for example. That's one way of reaching the civil society. And then we also talked about newsletters. And it was put forward that they should be short, just a couple of sentences for each subject, and then you could just click on them and find more information about meetings and references considering that subject. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Very good. Very brief. We have a group back here. Which, Arvid, are you in a group back here? Or? Okay. And you're a group. Okay. So many groups. Take that? Sure. Introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, I'm Christina Mastriani. I come from NIRAS, a Swedish or Scandinavian consultancy company within this field. Is it not on? Should I keep it a little closer? Yes, that's better. So in our group, we focus a lot on how to ensure that the members get what they want from the network. And what we would like to see is that the network stimulates bigger or more into the agricultural development. We want to see more projects, more support to agricultural development from Swedish SIDA and the Foreign Ministry. And it's all written in Swedish here, so I have to translate it. We also have one suggestion to focus more on ITP programs in the agricultural sector. We also discussed the importance of bringing more sectors into the policy dialogue internationally and not be afraid of promoting the Swedish expertise on these events. We also would like to have some sort of a notice board or resource bank where we can find other experts or information where and when we need it for our work. This links to next that there are coming up more and more possibilities for different actors to work together in different fields and applying for funding for different types of research / innovation / project implementation, where we think that SIANI could act as the network where we find each other, and doing this through different themes and ending up with a project application. We have a few innovative ideas. One that we discussed was a live newsletter where we could have a 15-minute live streaming, or where possibilities to interact would be possible as well, instead of just the normal newsletter. And then we'll also stress the importance of personal meetings such as this, not only virtual, but the importance of meeting someone face to face is important. And continue the work with workshops on concrete issues where this should be from different aspects. And I think that was it. Yeah.
Thank you. Very good. All right. Now, is there a group way back in the corner there? Marie, is your group there or no? Okay. They've already reported. Okay, you're just sitting back there. Good. Right. So then I've done there. Okay. Thank you for helping out. It's not abundantly clear to me what the groups look like here. So, and remember to introduce yourself.
So I'm Caroline Ochieng, Research Fellow at Stockholm Environment Institute, working mainly on energy. So our report for this group, what we discussed can be grouped into 4 areas. So in terms of building SIANI, we discussed the issue of membership and that it should be expanded. And one of the key groups we said should be targeted are students who would then, if we are looking in terms of the future of SIANI, then there we should have more ways of reaching students and bringing them into the membership. And then it should also have multi-stakeholders, so food security issues fall in many sectors and areas of activities, so we should reach out to other sectors that do work related to food security. And then we also pointed out the need to have private sector involvement into SIANI. And with this diverse membership, then we also discussed how to improve interaction. So there should be some innovative ways of interacting beyond what we have currently. We didn't exactly specify, but there's a need to look into how to get members to be active and participate, because then based on that, then is when you know if the needs are met. So if you don't know their needs, then it's difficult to judge whether it's met. And then there should be shared learning. So it's, as a member, it's not just asking what the group can do for you, but what you can do to make SIANI a better group. Then in terms of future sustainability, so we said SIANI should be more visible and here have greater impact, and then as well as have a clear identity. And one way of achieving this is to tackle burning issues and new emerging questions in the area of food security, and be an incubator, so be able to bring in new information, synthesize it in a way that others can understand, and to employ a more participatory approach.
Okay. All right. Now, this group right here, okay? Göte.
Thank you. My name is Göte Frid. I'm working with the Swedish Board of Agriculture. I have a background in extension services in Sweden and a degree in animal sciences. And I also been with the advisory group to SIANI for a couple of years and followed the development during the last 3 years, I should say, a bit more perhaps. In our group, we discussed very many issues that are similar to what we have heard from the rest of you, so I will just go through them a bit quick. The first one we talked about was to organize forums, internet-based, so that it can be easier for people wherever they are to participate in those discussions. We also think it's important to broaden the network, and there we specifically mentioned practitioners that we think we have too few at the moment in the network. Then, as we had Fatwa from Senegal with us in the group, we talked about language issues and that we are very much focused on English in our network and in the publications and meetings and so forth. And it would be then, in her view, relevant if we should consider other languages as well, so that that's also a way of opening up the group, we think, to others that are perhaps not so familiar or comfortable to communicate in English. And then also, like some others mentioned here on school children, we think we could make a youth SIANI, perhaps. Others have mentioned that, students, school children, and others. That's the coming generation. And then on organization, the themes, and I mean, we can't work on everything all the time, so there is a need to focus on specific issues, and that could then be perhaps planned in time, and so that participants in the network can know what now the focus is on this and that will be on for such a period, and then there will be something new that's been taken up. So those were the items that had most red dots, and then we have some on blue dots in connection to that. And then there is a list of expert speakers service that the SIANI or the Secretariat, maybe we should say, could provide, that we go through the members and see who might be relevant and interested in participating in others' meetings. We also talked about to broaden the partnership in regions and countries outside Sweden, and that SIANI could then be a hub for either people having ideas but not knowing what to do with them, and perhaps research people and others that are looking for good ideas to do something out of. And then finally, there are two more items. In fact, connect with people around the world. We have participants in the group that had good experience from Skype or meetings using that technology. And then finally, as others have said, also to spread out the meetings in Sweden and try to focus on other places, and then Stockholm and Uppsala area. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I think we have one more group. Adam, you ready?
My name's Adam John, and I'm a PhD student from University Putra Malaysia. I'm just about to submit my thesis. I've looked at international rice markets and their impact on domestic prices, and I look at price volatility too. I'm currently at SEI for a short time, and I'm looking at research prioritization towards smallholder agriculture. I think we had possibly the smallest group, but the most colourful group too, which was great. And I think that reflects in the suggestions we've come up with. So that's great. We did have a lot of suggestions. Most of them only got one sticker, so I'm just going to focus on those which received more than two. So the three suggestions which received the red stickers. The first one was to create short policy briefs and newsletters in bite-sized form. And this is really much geared to supporting groups like, CEDA and policymakers, and allowing them to be able to digest easier because of the lack of resources that they have. So coming up with these short policy briefs was seen as a priority. And then, again, related to CEDA, making sure CEDA gets access to relevant knowledge to support its work on agriculture and development, so quite similar there, really. And the third suggestion to receive the most red stickers was to try and branch out to members outside of academia, especially within civil society and the private sector. Just looking around the room and seeing the number of green cards we see, I think this is something we identified very early that needs to change. And then going on to our suggestions for our innovative suggestions. The first one is building up the network with national organizations within low-income countries. So really trying to build the bridges between the priorities suggested in the international arena with national priorities too. So closing the gaps there. Secondly, asking all SIANI members to submit their 3 top interests in agriculture to see where the common ground is. I think this is very important to know what everyone's doing within the network. The next point, create mechanisms for interactions between SIANI groups, CEDA, and the Ministry of Affairs. So really trying to make the activities of SIANI more practical for policymakers here. And the final point was to create training activities, both for academic and non-academic purposes. And not only doing these activities within SIANI networks, but also in collaboration with its partners. Okay.
Unless there's some burning issues here, that we're running a bit over time here. So I would just like to say that listening to the suggestions, as Matthew said, but was not supposed to say out loud, we have done some of these things already, and people are just not aware of them, but that means we haven't promoted them enough. Some things we have thought about, and now with it coming from a group like this, we will have more impetus to get going on them. And other things are, frankly, very new ideas and very exciting. I've been looking at some of the reporting will come out and be distributed to everyone, but I've been looking at some of the suggestions, individual suggestions here, and they're very interesting. They're very meaty. So I think I want to thank you all. I apologize that we don't have a plenary discussion, but our presenters are champing at the bit to get up and show us what they can do with the Pecha Kucha presentations. So I think we'll have to skip that. Can I just say that who speaks Japanese? David, are you a Japanese speaker? How do you? Well, okay, you did once anyway. How do you pronounce that really? Because I've heard Pechachka, I've heard Pecha Kucha, I've heard all kinds of things. Pecha Kucha. Okay, thank you. Whatever. I'm not a Japanese speaker, and I apologize to anyone who is. But this methodology that is so absolutely demanding. Some of us who are older will see that it's basically a ministerial brief, only with pictures and much more active. You have 5 minutes with the minister. You have to sell him on an idea. You have to make him feel comfortable with it, and he has to order his underlings to do something about it. So there you go. Here's your 2020. 20 seconds of picture and 20 pictures. Oh, and you can, if you want to introduce yourself, you can.
Okay, yeah, I'll get help to get my presentation here. My name is Katarina Eriksson. Okay, I will talk to you about school milk. I will talk about agricultural development and how these two are linked together. And I will talk about smallholder farmers and how they can actually be part of a formal value chain. As you see in the program in here, I work for Tetra Laval Food for Development Office, and the Tetra Laval group consists of 3 companies. It's De Laval, working with the dairy farmers. It's Tetra Pak, working with the dairy industry, systems for processing and packaging of food, and it's Sidel, also a packaging company. Tetra Pak is the biggest by far, and the packages are available in more than 170 countries. In the 1960s, Tetra Pak developed the aseptic packaging technology, and this makes it possible to transport and store products for several months without the use of preservatives and no refrigeration needed. This is sometimes also referred to as the UHT technology, a very important innovation when it came. For more than 50 years, Tetra Pak has been helping governments to develop school milk programs. And the packages reach 67 million children in 62 countries with milk or other nutritious drinks. Most of these programs are government funded. Portion-packed UHT milk is a very safe and practical way of distributing milk in schools. The Food for Development Office, then. We are a knowledge center working with school feeding and dairy development as our main areas, building on the group's long experience. And we focus on developing countries. And we facilitate the partnerships that are necessary to develop the whole dairy value chain. We are a group of 7 people at the moment. So why school milk? There are many good reasons, and one is that it creates demand for locally produced milk and therefore leads to development of both the agricultural and the private sector. And also, the alternative, if there is no school feeding, a lot of children will buy a not-so-healthy snack, like in the bottom picture there. School milk programs help develop the whole dairy sector. In Thailand, it's estimated that 250,000 jobs have been created as a result of a nationwide school milk program. And in Kenya, 20 years of school milk during the 80s and 90s led to major investments and a very high per capita milk consumption that the country still benefits from. Also in health and education, in Vietnam, it was shown that children on the school milk program grew 8% more than other children. And in Pakistan, girls' school enrollment in the Gotke district almost doubled after the introduction of school milk. If you allow me to generalize, you could say that in many countries there are 2 parallel value chains. One for the poor at the top and one for the rich. Smallholder farmers sell unprocessed milk directly or through middlemen to poor consumers, and parallel to this, the dairy industry buys from big farms or imports milk powder and sells through retailers to rich consumers. In the integrated chain, you also include the smallholder farmers, and the industry supplies affordable products of good quality to all consumers. And we have two ways of stimulating this development: by helping our customers to access more smallholder milk through dairy hubs, and by supporting development of school milk based on local products. And I will now give you two cases where we have been working with SIDA as a co-funder and UNIDO and World Food Programme as implementers, and it's smallholder milk production in Bangladesh and it's school milk in Zambia. We begin with Bangladesh. When working with dairy development, we collaborate with De Laval, our colleagues who are experts on milk production, also smallholder production. And this concept builds on a way to link smallholder farmers to the industry. It's a dedicated dairy who guarantees to buy all of the milk that the farmer produces if it holds a certain quality. And this is how it is organized. Smallholder farmers deliver to village milk collection centers, and the milk is taken to a central hub, and the dairy picks it up there. And the farmers, they receive training, inputs, services that they need. And the key is to build a trust with the farmers and to develop the production step by step. And you start with what they make most money from. And these are some examples of the results in Bangladesh after 30 months. And the most important thing you can see here, that farmers have almost doubled their average incomes. But also milk collection for the dairy has gone up, milk yield per cow has gone up. In the next case, Zambia, the main issues that Tetra Pak wanted to address here was the very, very low milk consumption in the country compared to neighboring countries. And also the widespread malnutrition among children, and the need to develop smallholder milk production. World Food Programme and the government, they had already started a school feeding program nationwide based on local ingredients called the homegrown school feeding program. And milk now became another ingredient, a new ingredient in this, besides the local maize porridge, the beans and the oil. And it added much needed nutrition to this program. The pilot program covered 18,000 children in grades 1 to 9 in a rural district. And this is a region where many children had never had milk to drink before. They received milk 3 times per week. And we also introduced our implementation model, which means very strict monitoring systems and data collection. And after 2 years, more children go to school more often. Schools have actually had to serve milk on random days, otherwise the children only came to school on the milk days. And the children also perform better and they grow better. And the dairy is collecting more milk from smallholders, a requirement in the program. And a model that can be scaled up has also been proved. Now, to do what we do, we need partners. Except for our customers, the dairies, we also need to cooperate with the governments and sometimes with development agencies and UN agencies. But for knowledge sharing and partner search, we also depend on the networking facilitated by groups like this, by SIANI and other agriculture and nutrition networks. So in conclusion, partnerships and networking is crucial for us in efforts to develop new projects. And we hope that SIANI can continue to be a good platform for us here in Sweden and internationally. And through this, we can get contact with new partners and we can share and get access to relevant information. Thank you. Wow.